Meeting Anna, the lady I interviewed today, was like meeting an old friend. There are so many similarities in which we shared our paths, starting from childhood, which was steeped in tradition and conformity. And growing up, the both of us envisioned ourselves becoming professionals for our careers. But for Anna, as she started her career and as things got worse and worse in her job, she started to question if indeed that was the job for her. And it was a turning point for her. What Anna did took guts because I remember being in the same situation as myself and not taking any action at all. So she decided that it was enough, right? And she decided to find something so much more fulfilling for herself. So she turned a toxic work experience into something really wonderful and beautiful and creative for herself. She followed her own instincts, I feel, that have brought her to today and where she is. Today, Anna's the owner of a little photography firm. She's very niche right now, so she does food and product photography. And yeah, she's doing really well with her little business called Eat, Crave, Grub. So here's my interview with Anna. Sure. Okay. Hello. Hi,
Hi,
Anna.
hi Tonya. How are you?
Hi. I'm good. I'm good. I was just wondering, right? What's the name of the business that you have right now?
Okay, so my name of the business is Eat, Crave, Grub. It's actually a spin-off from Eat, Pray, Love.
Oh,
That's when I was like, I had like this epiphany or fairy godmother moment when I thought, okay, I'm gonna quit my job, I'm gonna start my own business. And this is the movie that kind of propelled me into doing it. So I'm like, okay, that's how my name just came up.
okay. Inspired by Eat, Pray, Love. That's very, very nice.
Yes.
It sounds so nice. What's your business all about?
Okay. So currently, I'm running a very small photography firm. For the last 3 years, based in Singapore. For the first 3 years, I have very exclusively operated in a very niche space. I have been a food photographer and a stylist. And very recently, I have diversified my business into product photography.
Product for, oh, okay. All right.
Product photography.
Yeah.
So now I have opened the doors to expansion, and I'm looking at products like jewelry, skincare, lifestyle, homeware, and packaged goods like anything that you would probably buy off an NTUC or a cold storage.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's all of that. So I'm very excited actually. This new segment of my business, and I think
Yeah.
it's creating a lot of curiosity, and new creative juices are flowing. So yes, currently that's what I do.
Oh, wow. Cool. You've always been a food stylist and a photographer?
Not at all. Absolutely not.
Hmm.
This is my career reincarnation, if I may say so. In my past life, so that's what I like to call it, I was a corporate employee. I have a background in finance. I hold a master's in finance. And then I worked with the Big Four in the field of auditing. Then I worked with a local SME here as a trade finance executive.
Yep. Yep.
After that, I just fell into photography. There's a long journey about that. But yes, I was never about a creative person, but I think creativity is a lot about solving problems.
That's very, very true. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
It's not
like,
just about pretty stuff and painting art, right? It's there's so much
exactly.
about different avenues and exploring all of them as well.
Like connecting the dots, right?
Yeah, yeah, very much so. Yeah. So
Hmm.
how did you choose that first career of yours in finance then?
Okay, so I've been raised in a very protective traditional family,
Mm,
and I think back home,
mm,
have these, very conventional career paths laid in front of us. So it's
mm,
super competitive. So I have always been this really ambitious, driven girl, always on top of my class with the highest grades. Must go to the best college. I did go to one of the best colleges in India, and then so it was a very obvious career path for me. Only obvious option from the the academic background that I had chosen was actually to explore the corporate world. And then I was like, oh wow, corporate world, it just looked very glamorous to me.
Yeah.
So my first job, it was also my first streak of independence that I experienced. I was supposed to be away from home. I moved cities. It was
Yeah.
the time I was leaving, my nest, and I was very curious to kind of go down that road.
Ah, I see.
You
So,
know, choose.
yeah, coming back to your birth chart, based on your birth date and birth time, I know that according to Western astrology, your sun sign is actually in Virgo.
Yes.
Yeah. But you know what's interesting about it? I do a series of calculations, right? And it's not just on your sun sign, it's based on all the various planets that we see on your birth chart. What's interesting about it is you are predominantly, even though your sun sign is in Virgo, your dominant archetype. So based on the calculation of all, you're not a Virgo, you're more of a Capricorn.
Ah,
Yeah. So just for the audience also sake, Capricorns are also earth signs, just like Virgo, but they tend to be extremely ambitious. They set really high standards for themselves. They're pretty dutiful, very disciplined, can be quite traditional as well, but very like highly responsible, right? And so there's this case of like, no, I must get to the top of that mountain. I want to get there, and that's where the ambition drives you, I guess. And it's quite interesting that you just said that. How do you get to your first career? You were ambitious, you wanted to go there, you saw that accounting sounded glamorous, right? Why not go for that?
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and Capricornians tend to be like a bit more conventional with their choices. So I guess there's this part of you that kind of also decided, yeah, accounting, it's very well regarded. It's the financial industry. And interestingly, you have three planets in what I would call the eighth house. The
Right.
eighth house is also about investments. It's also about other people's money.
Okay.
And like, so when it comes to managing like finances of other people,
Right.
that's you have three planets inside there. So I
Right.
think maybe also that's why you might have been guided towards the financial side and looking at numbers. And it's a
Yeah.
very practical decision that you made first for yourself.
Absolutely. It was definitely something like a safe option, like you said, a highly regarded option. And, like back then I was very, very conscious of, what people think of me, what society, what,
Mm.
thinking of what I do. And, like you said, I've always been the star in my family. There were things that I did which nobody else in my family ever did. So for me, it was like, I have to be at the top, I have to, like, doing good is just not good enough. I have to be the best. So wow, that's quite bang on what you just said.
Yeah. So I'll just share with you your chart as well. Let's see, I've got it here. Share. Okay, so you can see your chart, right?
Yes, I can.
Yeah. So the everybody's got a wheel and everyone's got 12 houses. Each of these 12 houses in this pizza basically represent an area of your life.
Okay.
So, for example, if you've got a lot of planets in the fifth house here, that kind of means that you have a lot of focus on things like creative expression, creativity, anything to do with fun, hobbies, games, media, entertainment, all of that. And then, like what I was talking about, the eighth house here, you also have three planets up here that are really focused on things like inheritance, what do you call it? Finances in terms of other people's money, as in like shared resources,
Right.
anything to do with psychology, anything to do with even the occult. So I know you do like going into things like Vedic astrology and understanding astrology, and that falls into here as well.
Ah,
Yeah, so that's a brief explanation of what the basic chart is. Now, all these things here, they're all like little symbols, and they're also represented by the various celestial bodies that were in the sky at the exact point in time of birth in India.
right.
So, I mean, for example, this one is Jupiter, this one is the sun, then you've got Mars next to the sun as well, and so on and so forth. You've got every one of them representing a planet. So I would uh what do you call it? I would interpret it as like, okay, what does the sun in Virgo in the fifth house mean? It kind of means someone who's very creative, someone who just shines in the area of media, of entertainment, you know.
Right.
But the way in which you're going to do it is not like it's not like broad strokes. It's very detail oriented,
Right.
very, very specific, right? In the way in
Right.
which you're very creative, and it can be also very process driven for you.
Yes.
Yeah, if you like say are doing a photography, there is a like step 1 through 10 that you probably prefer to take, or even say with auditing, you know that there's a framework, you have to follow step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's
Exactly.
the way in which you work. Yeah, so that's how I kind
That's
of.
what I was about to say, like the reason, like why I love my first job was it's very detail oriented and I love details. I'm extremely pedantic about it. Like, just call it anal, but no, I love details and I think beauty is in the details, which is why the transition to even photography, the reason why I chose food photography, especially because it involves an enormous amount of details.
Mm,
Creating visuals is the beauty is in the details.
right, right.
Staging or the background, the props, or the way you're, looking at the product, the way you're putting the light on. It's got so many tiny detail checks that most people will probably don't know what it kind of takes to create a good visual. So
Mm.
I love details. That I have a label maker. Everything is just like labeled in my house. I
You're a
love
very systematic person, right?
it.
Yeah. Oh, very interesting. I guess you are more like the typical kind of Virgo who like needs to have things in a particular way and particular order. See, Anyway, so yes, so you moved from accounting, auditing, finance, trade finance, and to become a food stylist. So how did that happen for you? Why did you choose to leave?
Okay, so in terms of my first job, I think when I went to the corporate route, it was my first flight of career, right? Working with Deloitte, it's a big four. The very first day I get assigned to the best clients and in the best industry.
So prestigious.
It was exactly I was in cloud nine, Tonya. Okay, and it worked out really well for me. Fast forward to first year. Suddenly the project changes and there comes this person in my life who have a woman and who's my manager and she's extremely toxic. I've never encountered such people so in such close contact in my life. Okay, and she starts affecting me a bit more than I would like to, and I start realizing a little something about myself that I don't react very well to certain environments. And this lady feels like a part of it, and she's my boss. And I'm not having the best time doing it, but I'm like, it's okay, it's a job. I need to kind of separate those emotions out of the professionalism. So let's
Mm,
keep doing it. At the same time, I'm having those, I'm being assigned on different projects. It's not giving me the same kick. So suddenly things are not moving the way I would like them to move. It kind of throws me off course. Office politics got in the way. And that was my first brush with office politics. And I'm like, why are people behaving like this? People are just,
mm,
pushing me around, getting things under the carpet, and I don't like it. So,
hmm. Very
the
interestingly, if I look back at your chart, sorry, I'm just
no
taking
worries,
a look
please.
at it as well. If I look back at your chart as well, where is it? It's here.
Mhm.
You have the planet Pluto in the sixth house,
Yes, I do.
right? So the sixth house is about your working environment, it's about your colleagues, the people that you
Um,
work with, and Pluto being in here also signifies that you can pick up on the toxicity of your working environment. You might be affected by the toxicity, or I guess if you were looking at it from a very karmic point of view, you actually wanted to experience that toxicity in your working environment as well.
Really?
Yeah, so it's like the experience can be two. For it can be like you want to experience that toxicity, that someone overcoming and someone overpowering you, that politics and that manipulation happening. But at
Uh,
the same time, if you step back from it as well, you can also find your own power in your daily life, your own power in your working environment. Once
very,
you,
very interesting insights, Tonya.
yeah.
If this was nothing. The real toxicity I faced when I came to Singapore and I joined straight finance firm. Oh my God, that changed my life. Okay, I'm
How
gonna.
did it change your life?
Should I go back to the first job or do you want me to talk about the second one?
Yeah, talk about your second one.
Okay, the second one. Okay, I came here in 2015. And finally, I landed a job because of my husband's uncle's connection here in Singapore. And it was a trade finance firm based in Singapore. I was very curious to learn about trade finance. It was like a blank slate for me, and I was very happy
Mm.
to go ahead with it. On the very first day of my job itself, uh, the person who was supposed to kind of be my boss disrespected me very openly.
Wow.
I wouldn't share the details how, and over the course of 1.5 2 years, a lot of 1.5 years, a lot of things were said, a lot of things were purposely done, kind of in a very condescending way
Mm.
that sort of demeaned me and my position and my talent, and even to some degree objectified me as a girl.
Mm.
And I just, I don't know, I lost it. Can I just say I don't think it was one of the very good decisions in my life. I think no amount of money was worth staying in that toxic environment. I think
Mm.
it took away from me a lot more than it gave to me. But I am literally facing shit,
Mm.
getting shit. And then I started to question, like, did I do something wrong in my whole life that maybe this is karma catching up to me? Is there something? I made a great friend, one of the friends, and when she started resonating the same feelings, she was the same age. Then she started resonating the same feeling that, oh, you know what? This person is saying this thing. This person is saying this thing about me. And I'm like, oh my God, are you feeling the same? I suddenly felt that my concerns were validated.
Mm.
Until that point, I felt that maybe it's just me.
Mm.
At that point, and when I felt my concerns were being validated, and I just lost all my patience. And suddenly when things were being said to me, I started standing my ground.
Mm.
When I started standing my ground, that's when I had these one or two showdowns in the office. I confronted my boss very.
Mm.
I was very respectful because he was a 65-year-old man.
Yep.
So that 1.5 years completely changed me as a person, and they also made me touch new levels of low in my life. And you have to understand, it was a very big transition for me. For somebody who was being a star all her life for the first 25 years, coming to another country, first of all, not getting a job that she would ideally like to do, and then
Mm.
a job with from familial connections and encountering these people, like, what do you do? And I think that was the time when I started being maybe looking at social media, and I started looking at food. And I think social media, Instagram was just picking up back then. It was not as popular.
Which year was this? Do you
It was
remember?
2015,
2015. Okay.
2016, 2015, 2016, something like that. And since anyways, my energy in terms of work was anyways not being channelized in those first 1.5 years. I used to come back home and I used to, cook. And I used to find that very therapeutic. I used to, try to make a good meal. I used to do all these things to make myself happy.
Mm.
Cooking and, food made me really, really happy. I was trying these different cuisines. I'm a vegetarian. I
Yeah.
was raised a vegetarian. So I was, experimenting different modes of cooking. So I've never cooked in my life before in my marriage.
Wow.
So then I was cooking and I was, whatever I was making, I just found I had a natural knack for it. So, I used to do that. And I think that's how, and then I used to spend some time on social media. And then I started looking at these amazing pictures of food, and I was like, wow, I didn't know every food can be made to look this good. And how
Mm.
so I started this as a side hustle. My husband had his hobby camera, and he's like, why don't you try start taking pictures? So I was more interested in the styling elements. I didn't know the technicals of photography because photography is a very technical process.
Yeah.
I knew nothing about photography. And I was like, no, but if I keep a plate like this, maybe I use a plate like this, maybe in some sort of a light, something like a background, maybe how will this look?
Mm,
So
mm,
then that's why I made an Instagram account, Crave Grub, and I started just posting pictures. And surprisingly, I got a good response. My friends were very supportive here. They're like, oh, yeah, it looks nice. In hindsight, now I think those pictures were quite bad, can I? But yeah, I think at the time they did give me enough encouragement and enough courage for me to just like say that, you know what, I want to try doing this full time. Let's see what comes out of it. I have just one life. If it doesn't work out, I think I'm qualified enough to get any job elsewhere.
mm, mm,
Jobs. Let me just quit this job. And I quit it. And I quit my job, and my husband was extremely, extremely supportive. He didn't even flinch for 1 second, and he said that no, if you don't work, then uh, you're gonna have to work for money. I mean, I know lots of couples where husbands are constantly pressurizing their wife that you must work, otherwise how are we gonna raise kids? How are we gonna afford the lifestyle that we have? My husband was never like that. He was
mm.
to do what you love to do, and that's it.
Ah, I see.
And also, I had a big chunk of my own savings.
Mm,
So it gave me the confidence that, I'm not going into this blind.
mm,
And also, since I always wanted to if I wanted to start a business, I didn't want to feel the financial pressure. So I started as a solopreneur. So I don't have any salaries to give, I don't have any fixed cost, right? An office can only be a virtual address. And
yep.
to date, my studio doubles up, my home doubles up as my studio, right?
Yeah.
So whatever revenue I earn is a profit. So
So how did it happen for you? You just quit the job and then you decided to start this
no, so
side.
I started posting all these images before I quit my job.
Mm,
It was about a month, and
yeah.
I think I told my husband somewhere around April or May of 2017, and we took a trip to New Zealand with my in-laws, and that's when I even told my in-laws that I'm going to quit this job because I felt like because it came from their familial connections. So I'm like, with all due respect, I'm going to quit this job because it's taking away a lot from me than it's giving me anything in return. And I have a chunk of savings, and I'm going to do this full time. And of course, the first natural reaction, apart from my husband, everybody's that of shock.
Mm,
Like,
yeah. What?
finance background, you've been an A-lister all your life, you've been in photography. Yeah, it's great as a hobby, but how are you going to make a profession out of it?
Yeah.
And yeah, that broke my heart. But I guess I was just hardened up by then. And I was like, I don't care if people like it or not. I'm going to go through with this because it's a life that I have chosen. And I remember very distinctly feeling really unsupported, except for that, my husband, even my own parents, like, I don't think they'd ever really understood in the initial years what I was doing. And I
Mm,
blame them because they're not exposed to this kind of thinking.
yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
They don't
Definitely.
have anybody in their circle who does that. And all of their friends who, only dreamt of going to colleges that I went to, they were like, what? Like, what's going on? Like, they couldn't really connect the dots.
Yeah. So how is it like? You probably only had what, maybe one or two cheerleaders with you, and then everyone else was like, "What are you doing?"
That was
How did
very
it
hard.
feel?
It was very hard. But, I have to say, like, out of sight, out of mind. Physically, I was only with my husband in this, right?
Mm,
He was the one who used to see me 24/7. And he used to help me with all the shoots. I used to be like, no, no, I'll help you. Yeah, maybe this works because he knew about photography. I knew absolutely nothing. So he's like, no, no, he taught me about the very basics of photography.
wow.
This is how you shoot. I was more of a stylist, to be honest. And he still did. He's my rock. He supported me like no other individual in this world can and has. So, yeah, I think that's how it happened.
How did you get your first client? Was it a friend of yours?
No, it was in the stars. I'm telling you. So I quit my job in August. When I had already made my account, I was started posting pictures, and I think 1 month down the line, somebody on Instagram contacted me, a local photographer here, food photographer here, and said, "Hey Anna, I really like your work. Would you assist me in a couple of shoots?" And I said, "Wow, I must have beginner's luck." And I said, "Yeah." And it was my first paid assignment, and you have no idea how over the moon I was.
Wow, someone just found you on Instagram just like that.
Just
Wow,
like that, somebody
amazing.
just found me. And another reason, Tonya, that I chose this path, when I was scrolling through Instagram a lot more, looking at all these pictures, I saw that the western part of the world had all these amazing bloggers who were also great photographers. But I definitely noticed the business side of me in Singapore, not many people were doing that.
Yes.
So I felt that maybe there's a gap in the market and I could capitalize on it.
Mm.
That's also one of the reasons why I specifically chose food photography and not anything else.
Oh, that is again so Capricornian. I can't help it. Very
Okay.
professional, very business-like, yeah.
Okay.
Always, yeah, very practical.
So yeah, I'm a very conservative person at heart when it comes to like taking risks. My
Mm,
rate is really low, so I'll always choose
agree.
try to find these elements of safety somewhere, whatever path I walk on,
Yeah,
to
yeah.
kind of hedge myself. Yeah. So yeah, so somebody found me, and one thing led to the other. And then after a couple of assisting him with a couple of shoots, it gave me the confidence to actually implement a shoot on my own. And then I started kind of interacting with people there, and I landed a very big project. I think after a month working with him, he was approached to shoot a cookbook.
Mm,
I want you to come on with me because I don't know how to style Anna, and I think you're a great stylist. And I'm like,
wow.
and during the course of that, shoot, we were shooting at our client's place. There was an art director, there was a retoucher from, there's so many multiple people involved. And I realized that I had the skill sets of a photographer because I was holding the camera also, but I had the skill sets of an art director as well. I had the skill sets of a stylist as well. And when I was so in between the shoot, it wasn't really ethical, but the client told me, let's to kind of keep the cost low. Let's get rid of the photographer you've come with. You take over the whole shoot and the styling, and I'm going to pay you whatever. Why are you splitting it? And I refuse to do that. And I'm like, no, I mean, he's the guy who kind of I came in with. I mean, it's going to be have to be both of us.
Yeah.
So I did that, but it just gave me enough confidence.
Yeah, to
Kind
go
of
ahead. Yeah.
reaffirm my belief that you know what, I'm really good. Like they were not just one people, there were two, three people kind of saying that they really like my work. And
Mm.
see a demand in the market and we can make something out of it.
That confirmation, right? That
Yeah,
okay, I'm good enough to do this. Yeah.
exactly.
So it's very interesting. I'm actually looking at your chart again, and I'm also kind of what I did was I also analyzed certain things. So I'm not sure again when you look at Vedic astrology whether you look at house rulership,
Yes.
but in Western astrology we look at house rulership as well. So
The
say
own house.
yeah,
Who's
so
ruling the market? Yes.
for example, if I was looking at the second house, so the second house is about money, about how you earn and how you spend money as well. And
Okay.
that's got the sign of Gemini on the door. And basically, Gemini is ruled by Mercury. Mercury in Libra in the fifth house. So if I was to look at how you would earn your money, it would
Yes.
be doing anything to do with like communicating, sharing of information, but also very much about like say um, composing, sharing your mental output basically, right? It's about how
Hmm.
to use your mental output in a way, because it's Libra, in a way that is harmonious, that actually pays a lot of attention to beauty, aesthetics, balance, so there's a lot of it's a very mental process because it's Gemini, but also it's like somehow connecting the dots in the area of the fifth house. So the fifth house again is about media, it's about anything that's creative. So I guess maybe that's why this job financially also might work out very well for you, because it's in a very creative space. You are sharing your mental output in a way that like loves all this beauty and aesthetics and
Right,
balance and harmonious and all that. Yeah.
right. I mean, this is the first time hearing. Yeah, I mean, astrologically it makes sense, but I grew up thinking, I'll either be a doctor or a lawyer or an accountant, and I never, ever, ever imagined myself doing anything even remotely creative.
Mm.
And
But you did,
somehow,
yeah,
yeah, nobody ever told me.
you have actually got four planets here in the fifth house.
Yes, I don't know a lot of that. I think I have a moon in a Virgo.
Yes. So you have the sun in Virgo, the Mars in Virgo, the Mercury is in Libra, and the moon is in Libra as well.
Ah, okay.
You've got, yeah, I mean, the fifth house is also about kids, or at least
Yes.
your approach to parenting, right? But yeah, what's interesting sometimes is that sometimes it takes the person some time to actually fully realize the energy of this thing, because it's what I call four planets in the fifth house, right? And
Mhm.
sometimes because you have so many, it's kind of noisy and kind of confusing in there for you,
Yes.
because you can't fully understand it. And sometimes, rather than just utilize the fifth house energy, the chart holder sometimes can go to the opposite house. So the opposite house is what I was talking about, the 11th house, which is the house of community, of friendship, of future hopes and dreams, right?
Right.
And then they can fully realize their fifth house gifts.
Right. I
Yeah.
see.
Does that like ring any bells for you, reaching out to communities, reaching out in bigger groups of people?
I think, okay, so when it comes to reaching the community, I have discovered this very recently, in fact, that, so, over the course of my business, fast forward to 3 years, um, business is going well. Of course, the COVID happened, baby happened, so things were bound to get a little bit messy, but that was okay, that was expected. The one thing that I started really missing out was like, I miss people, I miss having a team. There's a certain scale in my business which I don't want to let go. I don't want to hire people, 10 different people to make a team, but I started missing that community feeling that you would get, or the colleagues that you will meet in a typical 9 to 5. Which is why I started kind of this year. I was like, I've had it till here. I need to kind of start looking out. And that's when I, started community, like finding communities like Launchpad. And, I came to the first event, and first I thought, okay, maybe I like the event because, COVID, we have been out of touch with people. But one event, two event, then, the IRLs we have had at Found It. I've just realized I'm naturally very good at, meeting people, and I enjoy meeting people. So, earlier I always thought I would be one of those people who's good at making friends, but really bad at networking. But
Mm.
realized I love connecting with people. I love hearing their stories. And I don't necessarily have an ulterior motive in mind that, oh, you know what, you have to be my client. That's why I need to be friends with you. No,
Yeah.
I just enjoy talking to so many different people and understanding what they have in mind, what their life journeys has been. It's just interesting for me. So I have just recently realized that I am quite a people person,
Mm.
which I did not know. Always thought I'm an introvert, but I didn't. But now I'm
Yeah.
not an introvert.
I get why you might feel initially like an introvert. Now, if you look at this sign here, the headphones are up the right way
Yes.
around. This is your south node.
Okay.
This south node is in the fourth house here in Western astrology. And it being in the fourth house means your comfort zone and what you're very, very comfortable with and born into this life with is a very private life.
I see.
right? It's like home, family life, your traditions, your roots, all of that you're very comfortable with.
Yes.
Your north node, on the other hand, is the other half, which is on the 10th house, and it's all up in like, society. It's out in the public, it's out in the open,
Yes.
and that's where you're meant to be. But I know North Node is not a comfortable place, but it is your soul's journey. It is where you are meant to be going. This is your soul's purpose.
Right.
Is to step away from the family, from the comfort of the home, and really come out into something very public.
Like seriously, just today in the morning, I was just discussing with my husband, I love these networking events, I love meeting with people. It's like I'm discovering myself through all these channels. And like a former like self of me, like the initial me would never want to go out and have parties unless I'm without my family, with my family. So, I'm like, no, no, if I go out in Singapore and if I'm going partying or something, I want my husband to be with me.
Yeah.
But really in the last 1.5 years, I feel like I've been changing that side. Side is naturally changing in me. I'm finding myself more and more in the last 1 year, or at least more, and it's getting more and more intense.
Hmm.
This year has been mentally and professionally and personally, it's been such a different year. I cannot tell you. Like it's suddenly like I have foregone certain things, or just maybe it's I always feel maybe it's an age wisdom that kind of hits you. But I have realized a lot of things about myself which I did not know. I am a people person. I love going out. I love chatting. I do enjoy limelight a little bit, not too much.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. The
Bit tiny.
limelight, yes.
Yes, I do enjoy that, and I love it when people like me. I don't know if it makes me a people pleaser, but yeah, I'm definitely very very interested to kind of explore this side of me. I didn't know it. I had it in me. Definitely did not know.
That's very, very good and very reassuring that it all seems to kind of align for you right now, right?
Right.
And I mean, Western astrology wise, you are 33 now, and that's pretty much just past your Saturn return. It
Right.
would have been a very stressful period from the age of maybe 28 to 30. It would have been
Right.
quite stressful for you.
Right.
Uh,
Yes.
So now you past 30 and you're like, okay, I'm becoming a real adult now,
Yes.
finding
I'm
out
a
who
little
you
too late.
are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just one more interesting bit I noticed as well. I just looked at the sixth house ruler, which again it's got a Libra, so again beauty, aesthetics, and stuff like that. And that's ruled by the sign of Venus. So this sixth house is also what you'll be doing on a daily basis and the kind of work you can do.
Okay.
Uh, and because it's ruled by Venus, it's again about beauty, about creating beauty, about being social, very sociable. It's about enjoying as well, or seeking value for people, or actually being able to appreciate value of people who want to put themselves out there, who want to put their products and services out there.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Aesthetics, there's beauty, there's harmony involved in this because it's all Libra. But there's also another part of you that you can do here, and it's the playing of a diplomat.
Ah,
So you can see like win-win situations for people. You're able to see both sides of the coin
yes.
and find something that is equitable for both because there's
Yes.
Libra involved.
Yes. Oh my God. Interestingly,
Mm.
I've noticed I'm very good at making connections for other people.
Mm.
I've been exploring some other networking groups also, and I've been like, oh, you know what? I just came across this person. I have a very good memory. I have a memory of an elephant. Okay, so I'm like, well, you're gonna really be helpful if you're going to connect with the people. Oh no, no, wait, let me introduce you, and I'll make sure those two people get connected. So again, that's something I'm not doing it from a place of benefit from to my own, but I'm
Just
like,
helping them, right?
yes, and I love doing that. I love doing that. So for me, it's like, no, no, let me just kind of make connection. These two people are going to be a perfect fit just to kind of know each other, or maybe they're just new in the city or whatever.
Yeah, that's so Venus again.
All right,
Venus in Libra
really.
thing.
Oh, Tanya, I'm loving this. Okay, So according to you, like, do you think my career path is aligned with my personality right now?
I think it is. I mean, I just looked at the second and the sixth house with you. It definitely is. You're already starting to like how should I say? You are showing all those attributes right now. So that's a great thing to see.
Okay.
The only thing is I haven't seen you really fully utilize the career house yet.
Yes,
Yeah.
my
So
God, yes.
the career, as in your calling here, if I just may go back to the chart.
I definitely feel I haven't reached my full potential, and I feel that there are always stumbling blocks along the way, but I don't know if I'm imagining it. Is it internal or is it external? I'm not very sure.
Well, I think it's probably just like a matter of time before you find it. But it's again, it's got the sign, a 10th house door has got Aquarius on the door. And Aquarius is ruled by the sign of by the planet of Uranus.
Okay,
Uranus is the rule breaker. It's the person who wants to have things like you want to think out of the box. You want to challenge the status quo. This person's also probably very technologically driven. There's humanitarian. There are signs of freedom, and because it's not just this one planet, this is so close to the other two, which is Saturn and Neptune as well. So you probably want to look at how these three play together in the eighth house. So
right.
that I have not seen yet, right? Like how you can use say what I want to say. I wanted to say Uranus conjunct with Saturn. How are you able to challenge the status quo, but do it in a way that's responsible?
In my field of work,
Yes. Yeah. How are you able to break through, certain taboos or certain things which people say should not be done, or bring out anything that's taboo and that's not people may not be so comfortable to be talking about. I'm talking about because it's eight house topics as well. Taboo is also a eight house topic. Yeah. So
right.
it can be that. It can be also you exploring something into maybe something that's more psychological, going into depths of things.
I love psychology. I'm a
Ah.
psychologist.
Yeah, it could also be that, eighth house is also about crisis, right? So it could be the person who somehow is able to think on their feet and navigate through crisis with people, what
Right.
crisis they go through. So there's a lot of could be this, could be that, which we could explore like till the cows come home.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. But
but
it definitely you would say it's underutilized, right? The career one.
it's not you're not quite there yet. I think from what I can see and from what you're talking about, I haven't seen it yet. But if I look at it, you will want to achieve success on your own terms. There's a
Yes.
revolutionary side to you here. So maybe there is already some of it. I wouldn't say a lot, but I already can start to see that because you already started to step away from that conventional accounting, finance, trade
Yes.
finance sort of background and I'll just do it on my own terms. But I'll
Right.
do it in a very business-like, in a very professional way, like a very Capricornian way as well.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
But I think there maybe might be other themes beyond photography, maybe behind the
Mhm.
styling. Then it might be something else much deeper because the eighth house is psychology. It also goes very deep. There's like death, there's rebirth, there's
right.
transformations.
It's
So
all about maybe I should start doing Vedic astrology readings.
you could. Or is there something in your photography that you actually see yourself being the person who is not the same as everyone else because Uranus, who challenges the status quo, but at the same time transforms things?
Right.
Yeah. So I'm not telling you to change the photography thing because the
No, no, no.
creative part is very much you, but
Yeah.
go deeper beyond it. Like, is there something beyond photography? Like that element of transformation, I
You
feel.
know, there's like always a debated. So there are many photographers in Singapore, and like for me, like the challenge, was um, I'm not going to let the noise affect me, what people do. I mean, initially it did.
Mm.
I was more like, let's not focus on what other people are doing. You just have to be a better version of yourself today than what you were yesterday. So, and yeah, so, they have a way of operating, and, I have, okay, so for me, I think my personality and the way my mind works, I have a lot of ideas, but I struggle with the execution. Uh, and I feel like, so for photography also, I have a certain set of idea that, oh, we should do like maybe, some thought leadership articles on LinkedIn. But then, um, most photographers don't do that. I don't know any photographer who does that. I'm like, why am I going to do that? People are going to judge me. Like, who wants to read about photography on LinkedIn? So, so, that could be like challenging, doing some, like challenging the status quo, like, doing
Yeah.
something that's not been done before.
Yes.
And so I've always been a niche food photographer. But when, Megha and Chris were like, why don't you explore product photography? I was very adamant. No, I want to be a niche. And then I was like, okay, let me start exploring. And and I realized that I have a certain way of looking at brands. I mean, that's what even the feedback I got was that I have a certain way of looking at brands because I have the expertise not just of a photographer, but a stylist, a retoucher, an art director, a prop stylist, and there is no all-in-one person in the Singapore industry.
Mm.
Call themselves, oh, nobody's going to check your credentials, right? But I know that the quality of work and the kind of, so I'm a self-taught person. I have sat in the NLBs for hours and hours and tried to educate myself about the technicals of what I'm doing. And that's how I became a photographer. And again, I'm sure that's a very Capricornian way of doing things, right? Just like get deep into books.
Yeah, get very professional about it, right? I want to know
Yeah.
anything and everything. But that's also the human design 5-1. That's the one, that's the researcher. You need that research. You need a lot of research before you're comfortable with something.
Yes, yes. So I will not use the terms loosely when I say that, I'm a stylist because I have a certain like thing in, I mean, these terms are being used very loosely by with the advent of globalization and people just it's very easy to make an account and say, oh, I'm a photographer based in Singapore. Oh, I'm a media person based in Singapore. Who's gonna check? Like there are no industry gatekeepers, right? So yeah. So I have definitely feel that in terms of my career, I haven't reached my full potential. Maybe it's a late success, or maybe it's not in my, maybe it's not fated. I don't know. There's only a certain, I feel like in life there are things that you don't get to decide sometimes.
Mm.
Oh, but like the point is like, when do you know like you should stop fighting it? Like you keep showing up every day and getting that same level of success, which may not make you as happy, but uh, do you kind of just like give up and find another thing which you may really be fated for and you may receive tremendous amount of success, or do you just keep showing up? So that's a bit of a question that I kind of struggle with sometimes. I know creativity for me is the way to go. I know my personality is definitely not meant for a regular 9 to 5 for different reasons. So, but it's also a very new way of looking at things because for 25 years I was raised very differently. And my intrinsic core beliefs were that all of these things are the way to go. So for me to adapt to this change of life has been such a huge transition. And I feel like I've discovered myself along the way.
When we look at your journey now, we were just talking about how you moved from something so conventional to something quite unconventional. I mean, it's still something it makes a lot of business sense, but at the same time, it's so unconventional. Like, how many people do we really know out there who are really brave enough to step out there and do something like food styling,
Yeah.
photography? How many people, right?
Yeah.
And how do you feel? Do you feel successful when you look back at your journey?
Now, yes, definitely. Initially, I did not. Initially, I just felt like an abject failure, honestly. But then I also realized that everybody has their own version of success, right? If I say that I'm successful, if I earn a six figure, then yes, I'm not successful. But then if I define my success with the way I have the feedback I have received from my clients, the real difference I've made in somebody's business because they got the right visuals. Um, I have earned good money. It's not been the best. Maybe if I was in a corporate life, I would have probably earned way more than that. But I'm hoping to get there one day.
So what's your definition of success now?
My definition of success is how much inner peace do I have?
It's
But
not about how much money you have.
yeah, it's not how much money do I have. I mean, okay, it is. It is definitely there. See, if money was the only criteria, I would have never left my corporate job. Okay, that's for sure. For me, I do need a balance of money and passion. And I definitely cannot let go of my family. Like for me, family is extremely important. And I feel like in this life, if I have to go down long road, I need my people on my side. If I want to make it really fast, then I might have to go alone, which I refuse to do.
Mm,
I might as well take slower steps. My business may not be where it is, business may not be growing as fast as I would like to grow because I have a lot of balls in the air, I feel currently. I have a baby to take care of. I'm dealing with these transitions. Sometimes I forget that these transitions have definitely taken a toll on me.
mm.
I have my health to take care of. I have my social commitments. I love making friends and going out. I love spending time with my husband. I'm also a very romantic at heart, and I want to keep that connection alive with my husband. And so for all those things, if I want to have everything different, these different aspects of different worlds, then of course, I can't give my 100% to my work.
Mm.
So I'm trying to have a lot of. I want to do a lot of different things in life. In fact, beyond my work also, one day I want to start my own NPO. One day I want to start my own school.
Mm.
Really not related, right? Yeah. So I still feel I'm an academician at heart. Sometimes I feel maybe, when I'm 50 or 60, I'll do my PhD in my finance.
Mm.
It's still an unfulfilled dream of mine because I feel like, oh my God, my mom has a PhD. I never went to a PhD. Oh, that's so bad. It's a sense of comparison, which I should not be really making. But yeah, I do have these kind of standards in my head.
I see. I see.
Self, stop aiming so much, stop wanting so much, like slow down. Things sometimes happen in their own time.
Yeah, I guess yes, you're right. Things happen in their own time. It's I don't know about you, but I sometimes do feel like but I do question myself sometimes and I go, when am I going to get there? When am I
Yes.
going to get there? When am I going to get there? And I always have this feeling that I have not arrived.
Yeah. No, I have this feeling. And it's a lingering feeling. And
Yeah, and I don't necessarily think we are really ever going to feel like we've arrived. Somehow when we arrive this point, there's another point to look up to. So we reach that point, and then
yeah,
so
maybe.
yeah, I don't think there will be like ever a
Yeah,
point.
I'm sure. I'm sure. Maybe it's just that. Maybe it's just how we have all been wired, because the world always wants more these days, right? But I have also realized that, like people like you and I can get that from you. That people like you and I think we are very intuitive also at the same time. We can catch on vibes, we can catch on energies very quickly, and that's not a gift that everybody has. So we should kind of, if we do a deeper journey within ourselves and try to see what we have, that also might just make us feel better because if comparison is truly what is making us feel that oh we're not there because that person has so much more, but what about things that you have more than other person doesn't have?
Mm, yeah, we've
It's
not exactly walked the same journey, right?
yeah, exactly, and I feel the connection with the self, connection with the higher power or God or whatever the force within the universe.
Mm,
I think I feel more connected to it than I have ever felt.
so
Yeah.
interesting. So Anna, I just wonder how this session has been. Like, thank you so much for sharing your story with me.
Thank you so much.
And it's very inspiring to have you seen to be able to put out really examples in the world of people who have followed convention and yet broken out of that, right? And also seen themselves go, oh yeah, actually I can do this, right? And this can really be a business. It's not
Thank
as if you can't feed yourself, you can feed yourself with it. You know, maybe you're not earning millions and millions of dollars, but you're definitely able to feed yourself with it, and it's still a growing business, and you're still working at it. Yeah. So
Thank you so much, Tonya. This was I know so cathartic for me. It was such a release. I loved it. I love chatting with you. I don't think I ever spoken about my journey to anyone in so much detail other than my husband, I guess. So I'm so glad I met you in Launchpad. Like really, it's so wonderful to be discussing things with like-minded people.
yeah,
Of course, astrology is like a hidden interest of mine, and I'm gonna go back and I think do some readings before I go to bed today. This session has been extremely useful for me. It has reaffirmed certain beliefs in myself, and it has also, I think, allowed me to fully embrace who I am and told me to kind of not give up if I have not fully arrived there.
that's
So, thank
wonderful.
you so much. This was amazing.